Hey there, welcome. This is your lesson number 2 on measurements and rates. So you'll find this in your workbook. So the first thing we have here is a set of data comparing Rachel and Sarah's text messages. So the first thing is we're going to talk about ratios. And a comparison of one number to another with the same units is called a ratio. So compare the number of texts Rachel sent on Friday to the number of texts Sarah sent on Friday. So here's Rachel's Friday total, and there's Sarah's Friday total. So we're going to write this in a form that looks like this: 81 to 54. And we're going to simplify that down. If you divide by 9, we get 9 to 6, and then if you divide each thing by 3, you're going to get a ratio of 3 to 2. Write a ratio in reduced form comparing the number of texts Sarah sent on Friday to the number of texts Rachel sent on Friday. So if you notice, it's the same data, but it's just reversed. So it becomes 54 to 81, which, if we reduce down, becomes 2 to 3. So what's the difference? Well, if you notice that the order is important. If we're talking about Rachel first, we have to put her number first. And if we're talking about Sarah, we need to put Sarah's number first. So the difference is the order is important. Okay, let's move on here. So comparison of quantities which cannot be expressed in the same units is called a rate. Now you might know things such as your pay, your rate of pay, or the price per liter of gas. But we're going to use the same set of data. So Rachel sent texts at a rate of 165 texts in 3 days, and that is just these numbers added up. That's 165. Express the total number of texts Sarah sent over 3 days as a rate. So we need to look at Sarah's data, and there's Sarah's data. So let's add them up. 23 plus 40 plus 54 equals 117 texts. Now if we express this as a rate over 3 days, it's 117 texts per 3 days. Okay. A unit rate is a rate expressed with a denominator of 1. So express the total number of texts Sarah sent over 3 days as a rate per day. So you need to divide 117 by 3 because we have 3 days. And if you do that, you get 39 texts per day. So Sarah continues to text at the same rate as in D. How many texts does she send in 1 month? Well, if she's sending 39 texts a day, we need to multiply 39 texts by 30 days, and we get 1,170 texts. So if you move on to the next page, we're going to talk about rates and ratio summary. So a ratio compares quantities with the same units. A rate compares quantities with different units. Typically, a ratio compares quantities of the same type of objects, so no unit is included in the calculation. So that was the text to text. Ratios are always simplified and may be written A to B or A over B. A rate is a specific type of ratio. A rate is a comparison between two quantities where one is changing relative to the other with different measuring units for the two quantities. So again, that's the price of gas per liter, or your rate of pay, your hourly wage, things like that. A unit rate is a rate expressed with a denominator of 1. For example, 25 meter over 2 seconds can be expressed as a unit rate of 12.5 meters per second. So that would be kilometers per hour, or if you reduce it down to meters per second. So we're going to use proportional reasoning, unit analysis, and unit rates to solve problems. Many rates can be solved using proportional reasoning, unit analysis, or unit rate. So here's the situation. Kim and Cole were given the following problem to solve. Tommy purchases 3 bottles of vitamin water for $4.95. After paying, he receives a text message from his wife informing him that some more of his friends are coming to visit. Getting crazy on vitamin water. Goes back into the store and purchases 4 more bottles. What was the total amount he paid for the 7 bottles of vitamin water? Well, let's check it out. Kim solved it using proportional reasoning, and Cole solved the problem by determining a unit rate. Part of their work is shown below. Complete their work to determine the total amount Tommy paid for the 7 bottles. So Kim's work using proportional reasoning. So Kim says, I know that $4.95 for 3 bottles would be the same as X number of dollars per 7 bottles. So she cross-multiplied, and she got $4.97 times 7 over 3 bottles. So this actually works. If you multiply $4, or 4.95 by 7, you divide it by 3, you get $11.55 for the 7 bottles. And Cole did it a little bit differently. He determined the unit rate. So he divided $4.95 divided by 3, which, if you work that out on your calculator, you get $1.65 per bottle. So then if you multiply $1.65 by 7, you will get the same total. All right, here is the last couple examples. So Paul's hosting an annual wrap-up party for his hockey team last year. This year he's hosting the party again, and like last year, he'll be serving prime rib roast. Last year he bought 8 kilograms of prime rib roast for $173.12, and this year he bought it for $10.13 per pound. Note, 1 kilogram is equal to 2.2 pounds. So the difference being, the first one you have your kilograms, and the next one is per pound. So we need to do a little bit of calculation. So unit analysis. Well, let's look at the first situation. 8 kilograms of prime roast for $173.12. I know that 8 kilograms times 2.2 pounds per kilogram gives me 17.6 pounds. All right. Now, if I have $173.12 divided by 17.6 pounds, my rate per pound works out to be $9.84 per pound. If we compare that to the rate of the previous one, this year's roast of $10.13 per pound, you can see that this year's roast is more expensive. All right, last example. Property owners are required to pay property tax on an annual basis. The property tax amount is based on the mill rate. It is called a mill rate because the number is expressed in mils, where 1 mil is 0.1%, and the assessed value of the property. To calculate the property taxes, some municipalities use this formula. So the property tax is the assessed value of your home divided by 1,000 divided by this mill rate, multiplied by the mill rate. So if Charlene paid $1,924.39 in property tax last year with a mill rate was 4.6038, what is her home's assessed value? So we know the mill rate, we know the property tax. So let's pump these numbers into the formula. So 1924.39 is equal to the value divided by 1,000 times the mill rate, which is 4.6038. So we need to use BEDMAS, so brackets, exponent, multiplication, addition, subtraction, but we're going to go in reverse. So we don't have any addition or subtraction, so let's look at the multiplication. We need to isolate what the value is. So we're actually going to divide by 4.6038 to move this over here. So this becomes divide by 4.6038. And we also need to multiply by 1,000 because we're doing the opposite of what's happening on this side. So we're going to multiply this by 1,000. So we end up getting, I'm going to redo the work over here, we end up getting 1,924,390 divided by 4.6038, and we get the assessed value of the house at about $418,000. $418,000. So let's use this value in the next question, part of the question. So how much does her property tax bill change for the current year if her property is assessed 10% lower and the mill rate increases to 5.2113? So the first thing we need to figure out is her new assessed value. So 418,000 was her previously assessed value. Now if we use this value, 418,000, and we multiply it by 90% or 0.9, because it's gone down 10%, so we're left with 90% of it, the new assessed value is going to be $376,200, and we can use that in our equation. So the property tax, we don't know. But we know it's the assessed value, which we figure out is 376,200 divided by 1,000 times the mill rate, which in this case is 5.2113. And on your calculator, if you do 376,200 divided by 1,000 and then multiply by 5.2113, you end up with property tax of $1,960.49.